talking about these wonderful kids. I'm talking about one that kills 5 people.
It's the truth.
You know, there comes a time when we just have to let the facts, speak for themselves.
Yeah, the facts are 5 people were murdered by a DACA kid.
Well, and
You
the
don't want
fact
to talk about it.
Well, the fact is, let's have
Talk
a
about
discussion.
Johnny
We
Sanchez
allowed
in Los Angeles
non-residents
set an
of the
intentional
31st
fire that
Congressional
killed 5
District.
Americans.
Thank you all for joining us. It's very nice of you to be here. So look, and we'll take some more questions, and if there's time for more questions, sir, you already have one bite at the apple. We'll give you another if there's time. Go ahead.
Hello. As a DACA recipient and self-identified undocumented roommate, taxpayer, state employee, I would like to know if you've had the opportunity to talk to Republicans about how they feel about, DACA and the DREAM Act.
Yeah, 2 Republicans came up to me on the House floor this week and said, thanks for sending me
Jeff
information.
Dunham
We sent
and
the
John
same
Baldeo.
side-by-side description of these bills. We sent the same one we're giving to you, we sent to other Republican offices. And 2 came up to me this week on the House floor.
Jeff
and
Dunham
said-
and John Baldeo.
And said, I want to sign on to that bill. I'm getting onto that bill.
That's true.
And I said, thank you. I appreciate it. It's good for their district. It's good for our district. It's good for the economy, as all the studies show, and all the economic analysis shows. So, I appreciate you asking the question, because I will tell you, and I'm not here to make news because I'm getting videoed, but there are Republican members of the House of Representatives who came up to me on Thursday and said, when we get back to Congress next week, I want to get on that bill. And so there's about 240 other Republican members of Congress. You can reach out and make your voices known. They might have a process for folks who don't live in their district to give their opinion. I feel that we're going to continue to grow the co-sponsorship list for the DREAM Act. And we're going to say very loudly that this is bipartisan, and that there are Democrats and Republicans who all believe in you, and they believe that you deserve this opportunity.
Congressman, I do think it's important that we understand that the fight is now in Congress where it belongs. This is the right place for this dust-up. The DREAM Act 2017 is in the Judiciary Committee. And my question is this. Do you see Chairman Bob Goodlatte, would there be any possibility that he would decide not to even bring the legislation forward? Would that be a possibility?
Well, look, in order to get this done, there has to be an agreement and a deal. I'm convinced that if this bill has to go through the Judiciary Committee, it won't get done, period. The Judiciary Committee is where good immigration policy goes to die. And so, it's important. And in normal rules and normal, what we call our fancy congressional speak is called regular order. It's when we go send a bill to a committee and members of Congress get together and they hash it out and they make amendments and they go back and forth and they decide on each amendment and then they move it forward to the House. Well, that's not how Congress works anymore, unfortunately. There have been a whole host of bills that have bypassed the Judiciary Committee and gone straight to the House floor. So all we're asking all we're asking is treat the DREAM Act like we've treated other bills that have gone straight to the House floor. And there's a tool that we're gonna try to use called the discharge petition.
Okay.
And it means if 218 members of Congress sign the discharge petition, it skips committee and it comes straight to the House floor. So if this bill won't move through normal process, and if Republicans won't give us an opportunity to bring this bill and have an up-down vote on it, then we're going to try to use every tool available, including maybe a discharge petition, in order to bring it to the House floor to solve this issue. But I want to say one more thing on this, related to this, is, this, as we walk through the timeline ends in March, right? We can't wait until March to fix this. There is so much anxiety. We need to make sure that we solve this issue soon. And I don't mean as part of budget discussions in December, I mean soon. And I believe that the administration feels that way, as well as legislative leaders on both sides of the aisle. So we're gonna do everything we can to try to resolve this as quickly as possible. And my preference, as I've shared with you, is that the DREAM Act becomes the vehicle to do that. With that, I think we're going to ask.
You said you'd entertain my question.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
I have 20 grandkids.
This is your second question, but go ahead.
I have 20 grandkids that were born in this Inland Empire area. Why don't you pander to them like you do to these kids whose parents have broke laws to get them here? I don't understand it. And why don't you tie this DACA business to the border security issue? Now, you know Ronald Reagan passed amnesty, and you see how that worked out for us. Why are you so opposed to tightening up the border? How many people from Mexico do we got to bring up here and take care of?
Sir, sure. Thank you. I appreciate the question. What I will say, and I'll continue to say, is that in 1986 we didn't solve our immigration issue. There still remains an immigration issue today. Actually, the Pew study shows that there is net migration out of the United States. There are more people going from the United States to Mexico than there are people from Mexico going to the United States. So that's just the raw facts and the raw data. Look, every kid from the Inland Empire, I feel, deserves a shot. So your grandkids deserve a shot, just like
Why don't you
these
pander
kids.
to them like you do to this group?
I'm not pandering. I'm trying
Yes,
to
you
help.
are. You
I'm trying to
don't
help.
think you're pandering?
I'm trying to help
You
a
don't think
community
you're
member.
pandering?
I'm trying to help community
There's a
members.
big lie.
Read the sign.
Yeah, I can
It's a
read the
lie.
sign. Thank you so much. Because I couldn't tell how you felt on this. I knew you were undecided walking in the door. But I think it's important again to underline that this is an issue, and I'll say to you, sir, to answer your question. I read a press release from a couple Republicans that I really liked that said, in the United States, our history is that we don't hold what people's parents did against them, and that's a principle that I think presidents in the past have exhibited, and I think it's very evident and something that's very applicable today. So I appreciate the question. I appreciate you being here. And thank you for the conversation. You know that I've never shied away from these discussions. I prefer that those folks in the 31st Congressional District have an opportunity to be heard. That's how our town halls work. That's how some of our public events have worked in the past. I'll take two more. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you mentioned that one of the requirements for to be eligible for the DREAM Act was for the job requirement. So there was metrics that you spelled out.
Yeah, and I might have Steph help me out on this. There was a specific point in time, a percentage of full-time employment that was required as a part of it. So three legs of the stool: military, work, and school. Steph, do you want to?
Sure. Yeah, so for the DREAM Act, the requirements are to be in school for at least 2 years, to have graduated from school, to work for at least 3 years, and 75% of that time must be with a work authorization, which you would be given under the DREAM Act. Now, just because you have a work authorization doesn't mean you automatically get a job. You have to go out there and try to find it and make it work. And then the other requirement is that you would have served for at least 2 years, or be honorably discharged. And you must complete one of those requirements within 8 years to be eligible to go on to the legal permanent residency. If you finish it early, then you can apply for the legal permanent residency, but those are the requirements under the DREAM Act as it is right now.
As long as you completed one.
One of them within 8 years, yeah.
And say that again on the work side. 3 years.
3 years with at least 75% with
a work authorization.
which you have to apply for, and you have to go out and get the job. Yeah.
So that would be
Sarah,
the
you
work
talked
requirement.
about the Native Americans.
Last question.
My grandmother was a Native American, and so it makes me Native American. The wig I'm wearing is not my hair, okay, it's cancer. So if I take it off, you'd see that my hair was dark. Okay, my oldest child went here in the 90s for all the beautiful buildings were made. She went on and she had to draw a lot of loans. She went to Cal State, San Bernardino for a little bit, then got accepted into Redlands University, your old alma mater, and she went there. Cost a lot of money. I was a teacher. I'm now retired. I didn't have that much money. I may have taught some of these students in Ontario Montclair School District or Rialto, I do not know. But didn't come to my mind to teach them any differently than anybody else. Now, my child would have had $100,000 in loans. She just started teaching. It takes 3 years before a teacher can have enough money to start paying things back. I happened to inherit a little bit of money from my parents. I gave her that money before I stopped teaching. It was for my retirement also. So she could buy books and pay for some of the loans. She's now $70,000 in debt and trying to pay her loans, which she can't pay off yet. Okay, you said something about the Native Americans. They stole, DACA stole money from the Native Americans. I know this because I've done a lot of research about what's been going on. Because my daughter was promised with an Apple grant to pay off her loans, or most of her loans, if she taught in a low socioeconomic area. She teaches in Adelanto, the lowest in the state. All of a sudden that promise was gone. Did more research and found out, any more than what you won't say, I will not say the names, found out that the money from the Apple grant was taken for DACA. And I'm asking, why?
I'm not aware of any money
Then you
being
better do some
taken for
research,
DACA. You know, and I think, you know, one of the things you may be discussing is the state of California feels, and this is something the state legislature has taken a vote on, is that every student deserves an opportunity for student aid. And I agree with that. And so anybody who is in K through 12 education has an opportunity to be educated in our state schools. I fully subscribe to that. So, man, maybe I'm conflating some of the issues. I wish you the best in your recovery first and foremost. And I'm happy to look, if you want to email some information about what you're talking about, I'm happy to take a look at that. What I would say is that every young person who is in the K through 12 system deserves an opportunity for education. Whether that's here on this college campus, whether it's at Cal State or UC's, or whether it's at a private institution that I was very fortunate enough to go to, where I received student financial aid, where I received a Pell Grant, and walked out of that institution with a lot of loans. But, you know, and that's, I think, some of the young people who are here will gladly sign up for some loans if it means that they have an opportunity to be tax-paying, fully contributing professionals in the Inland Empire. They're happy to make that trade-off. The difficulty that our young people are having is saying, at what point is that going to inhibit me starting a family, owning a home, starting a business? And that's why we need to get the student debt crisis under control. I've sponsored bills that would allow individuals like your daughter more lead time, that would allow them a longer window in order to start to have that forgiveness before they have to start paying their loans, because it is becoming increasingly difficult to get a job after you leave an institution. So with that, I told you I was taking 2 more questions. Thank you so much. What are we doing next? Are we asking? Okay. So, you know, we're gonna continue to work with your campus leaders, and we're going to continue to work to make sure that we are holding the administration accountable, that we're holding members of Congress accountable, and that we're doing everything we can to provide you a path and an opportunity forward. So you can count on that. Why don't I do this? We're going to work on a letter to the administration. We're happy to work with your campus institutions on this. We'll post it on our website under the press section. We'll publicly release a letter that we feel encapsulates some of the concerns that you've shared with us privately. I understand that this venue and what we're doing right now doesn't completely lend itself to the feeling of collaboration that you want in order to get the answers that you need. So please, you know, work with us and continue to share your story with us as you have, and we'll work to craft a letter, and we'll put it on our website so everybody knows exactly what we feel needs to be answered before we progress. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation. Thank you for having the willingness to come out here in spite of everything that you hear, I want you to know that this community stands with you. And I'm willing to put up with a lot in order to give you an opportunity and a path. And just know that there are many more people, with us on this.
I don't think so.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Boo! Boo! Shame on you, Aguilar! Shame on you! Aguilar!
No, but I mean, I know, but it's not, they should be doing the same in Mexico.
Could you imagine if we held an event and we kept out certain individuals? I mean, it'd be worldwide news that we were white supremacists.
Go back to Europe,
Nazis.
apparently.
Go back to Europe. Yeah, I like how they say you can't go after certain people for the sins of their parents, but they tell us that we're sinners because supposedly our ancestors came here a long time ago. So we gotta take
something.
Aguilar, that's what you are.
There
Nothing but a liar. Thanks for lying.
Democrat Party is
Please help Mexico reciprocate.
Help Americans. Help Americans.
Intolerance and bigotry,
America
not
first.
letting us-
America first.
And I wasn't even asked where I live. They just said you couldn't come in. I guess because of the way I look? Is that what it is? Do I look a certain way? Do I look dangerous? I mean, I'm holding a weapon in my hand. I know I can't walk into buildings with weapons, but, I know this weapon that I'm holding is really dangerous and might expose certain people, but, I'm a bigot. I'm a supremacist, supposedly, if they say so.
The students. Here we go. Pete Aguilar.
Pete Aguilar. He claims most Americans